Hello and welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast for The Last of Us Season 2 finale. I'm your host, Ashley. Hopefully joining me today is Dylan Black.
Talking about we're in a rush to wrap things up for this season finale.
A little bit. Yeah, let's not screw around. Let's just dive straight in because we've got a lot to cover. So yeah, please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about the plot themes and ending of the season, as well as both the video games. If you are not a gamer, this podcast is not for you. There are a bunch of other podcasts that have talked about this show. Go find one of them. Then play the game and then come back and listen to this. With that said, let's jump into discussing The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 7, Convergence. Directed by Nina Lopez-Corrado and written by Neil Druckmann, Haley Gross, and Craig Mazin. Dylan, what are your thoughts on the Season 2 season finale?
Didn't like it. It was a sharp downhill dive of this season, I think, between not liking last week much as we discussed, and then this week's episode. I mean, look, to be as blunt as possible, it's just I thought it was a bit of a mess. The biggest example of the mess I could give would be that I watched the behind the scenes, thing after they talk about it, and they go, "Hey, the reason we didn't include, originally we was talking about having this scene where Ellie, this part in the game where Ellie goes to the island, but then when we didn't include it for pacing issues, and it didn't really make sense to include anymore. So we chose to fuck with the pacing and include it in the TV show because reasons." Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. I don't think it hits basically every story beat that's from the game that's here exists as something that seems like a checklist rather than narrative things that make sense in the confines of this as its own TV show or even an adaptation. It's in the last two episodes, I really just I don't know what the hell sort of happened over the last two episodes. To be completely honest, and I thought this was bad television.
Wow.
I think positive production wise, sensational. Looked great, sets look great, all that sort of stuff. That's my only positive to be honest.
I don't think it was a fantastic episode, but I clearly enjoyed it a lot more than you did. Yes, it is messy. Yes, there is stuff that maybe is going a bit too quick, and we're still dealing with this version of Ellie, which is not quite the version of Ellie from the games. And I don't think they've... because it's not quite the version in the games, it doesn't quite make sense why she's doing the things that are happening here. Do you know what I mean? Other than to hit the checklist. But, those last 3 minutes? Pretty great. Just imagining all these people around the world who haven't played the game reacting to that. Good stuff. All right, but let's just dive into the episode, discussing the episode. I'm reading a recap from TV Line, written by Kimberly Roots, who is not a video game player. Shout out to her, because she's done a bunch of good stuff that we've been reading this entire season. Because I'm too lazy to do it myself.
These episodes are definitely reliant on her articles.
Very reliant. All right. After last week's Joel-tastic hour, this week's episode brings us right back to where we left off, with Dina bleeding copiously from the Seraphite arrow through her thigh. She and Jesse are at the theater, where he has had to push the arrow through her leg in order to get it out, when Ellie returns from pulverizing Nora. She finds Dina resting on a lounge in the dressing room.
Just for a sec, who tells her that alcohol's bad if you're pregnant? That bothered me for some weird reason. You know what I mean?
I assume that's like a thing that they talk around the village.
Yeah,
around Jackson.
Yeah.
Or they've got way better sex ed in Jackson
in the apocalypse
because they need to know these facts.
Yeah,
they pass on the knowledge.
Yeah, that was the one thing. But she was like, "Stop! I can't have a drop of alcohol." I was like,
"You're not like, oh yeah, Jesse really doesn't know where the arteries are."
Yeah.
Like, no, it's weird that she doesn't know what she's not supposed to have alcohol. Jeez. She finds Dina resting on a lounge in the dressing room. The mum-to-be reassures Ellie that the baby is okay. How do you know? I just do. And then Dina slowly sits up and has Ellie take off her shirt so she can tend to a pretty messed up back. As Ellie reports what happened, it seems like she's in shock. I made her talk. I thought it would be harder, but it wasn't, she babbles. It was easy, I just kept hurting her. Ellie adds that Nora only said wheel and wail, and that she didn't kill her. When Dina remarks that maybe it's Abby's friends got what she deserved, it brings Ellie to the verge of tears. Maybe she didn't, she whispers, telling her girlfriend about Joel's massacre at the hospital in Salt Lake City. This news shakes Dina badly, and these things don't get better when Ellie confesses that she didn't know who Abby and her friends were when they arrived in Jackson, but she did know what Joel did. Ellie apologizes, but Dina's entire affect has changed. She just says that they need to return to Jackson, and then she turns on her side away from Ellie and tries to rest.
Yeah, I didn't like this either.
Did you listen to the podcast?
No, I haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast.
So their rationale is that they went into this whole thing about, Abby, Dina being upset that Ellie knew about Joel killing these people.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell her.
Mm-hmm.
But how was Ellie to know that the people that Joel killed, how the people who came to kill Joel were somehow related to that event?
Correct.
There is no connection. There's no way to know that those two events are connected. Unless you're of the opinion, now Joel is a shitty person. We shouldn't have come to get revenge for him.
Mm-hmm. Which apparently she is now.
That's the only way you can read it.
Yeah, that's the only way you can read it. So that again, that's why I didn't like it. Yeah.
And they're just trying to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sure Craig and Neil and Haley are really great, but the justification made no sense to me. And we've already had. They'll make it like this big betrayal, but like Ellie had been hiding that she was immune for like their entire lives.
Years, yeah.
That would, I would think, be a big good betrayal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just the fact that Ellie is so affected by killing these or almost killing these people is very weird.
Yeah, it's
of course it's because we're removing the mechanic of her mowing down hundreds of people between when she left Jackson and now.
But also like her mowing down all those people, the copious amounts of wolves and eventually the key figures and her becoming numb to it leads to her eventual breakout in tears on when she's fighting.
Yes, I think
like I'm really beginning to question if they understand their own story.
Well, yeah, it's like again a matter of trusting the audience. Like, we'll change it.
I know. It's becoming more and more obvious. I don't trust the normal TV audiences. Or HJ doesn't, or Craig doesn't. I don't understand like who's pulling a lot of the dumbing it down decisions,
But yeah, like, and I don't think it's, from what I've read around, it's not working in a way. Like, people are still feeling sympathetic towards Ellie for what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like if they had have gone the more bloodthirsty.
I'll tell you, my not. I don't think this is a hot take, really, but I honestly feel like they've done such a good job at making people dislike Ellie that when we have to spend a season with Abby, people are going to like that character more.
Maybe that's the thing. They're like, we need to get people to dislike Ellie because they'll be on a team Abby, and then we'll swap.
And then it makes me just wonder.
You also have to wonder how much of the backlash to the video game is affecting this.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, as the backlash to Abby in the video game, they've like scarred from that they've overcorrected. Like
maybe,
like
yeah. So, but yeah, we'll get into more of this Ellie stuff. The next day, Jesse and Ellie leave to find Tommy. Dina puts her bracelet around Ellie's wrist for good luck. On the way, Ellie inadvertently lets it slip that Dina is pregnant. He suspected, but she confirms, and they take shelter in the garage when it starts to pour. I will say the benefit of this episode, I think, is it really got you invested in Jesse as a character. If you weren't already. I mean, it's been several episodes since we'd seen him.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole job of this episode, isn't it? Is to like the best scenes of the episode is just Ellie talking to Jesse. To be honest,
which makes it all the more devastating when the thing happens at the end of the episode. So I mean, I feel like I like Jesse more in this than I liked him in the game.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, so shout out to young Mazino for being very cool. They quickly hide when the wolves in their. They quickly hide when wolves in their vicinity grab a Seraphite, beat and strip him, and then drag him away. Ellie wants to intervene because the Seraphite was a kid. Didn't look like a kid to me, but Jesse is vehemently opposed. This is not our war, he says. They make it to the rendezvous point, but Tommy isn't there. While they wait for him, Jesse tells her that he loves Dana, but not in the way that you do, and that he fell in love with someone in a group of survivors that was heading to New Mexico. When the object of his affection asked him to go with her, he wanted to, but ultimately he stayed because he felt loyalty to Jackson. Ellie is like, okay, here we get it, you're a saint. But he points out if he'd gone, who would have saved her in Seattle?
Yeah, man, this is another scene that just annoyed me and just makes Ellie seem like a child, I think. Like there is several people you're just walking. Yeah, it's frustrating to watch scenes like this play out and just go, I understand what you're frustrated, like where the frustration comes from, but you're not currently acting like you are acting like a child, trying to run out there and just start shooting everyone and get everyone killed.
I mean, we know for a fact the number one fundamental personality trait around Ellie, she's impulsive.
100% impulsive, but she's impulsive in the game. But she stuff like that. I wouldn't picture game Ellie doing.
So you didn't like the Seraphite stuff, is what you're all getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah, who won you? Oh, I thought I don't understand why you're upset about this scene with Jesse.
No, sorry,
No. Yeah, okay.
I should have interjected earlier, but yeah.
But yeah, I like that they talk their shit out. They're interrupted by a report on the radio. It sounds like the wolves have captured Tommy. Not accurate. When the pair get to high ground in order to see where the wolves are, where Tommy might be, Ellie is distracted by a nearby aquarium, which has a giant Ferris wheel nearby. She realizes that Nora's wheel and whale might mean that Abby is holed up there, so she suddenly decides that maybe Tommy is okay, after all, and that she's going to go set off for the aquarium instead.
I am here for the next 15 minutes is honestly, it's
a blur.
Hey, season 3, baby. Like,
for us, it's like, hey, wink, wink.
This, in fact, even before this, where they have when her and Jesse are walking through the city, and you see the crawl thing that connects the two towers, like the
crane thing.
The crane thing up in the sky.
I didn't think that was too bad. That's
not too bad, but like between that, it's like I saw that, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that was a little wink, wink, nudge. But then as you start going forward, it's like sniper. We'll get to that. Seraphite Island. We'll tease. We'll get to and like it's just all this teasing and stuff. Even once we get to the lighthouse here and the aquarium here in a minute, it's like them talking about Abby. It's like, we'll get to that. It's just comes a bit ridiculous.
Hang on, let me just double check this recap because I feel like
if it sounds like it just jumps all over the place, no, that's right.
No. It's Mr. Key scene, or like a reasonably key scene. Yeah, it looks like it. I can't remember exactly what point in the episode, but we get they go see we go get a little scene with Isaac and
quick cutaway
Sergeant Park, I guess, who are planning their big attack on the Seraphites, establishing why the things are happening on the island. So we know this season. And he's asking, where's Abby? All these other people have deserted him. And Park is like, what, you want to bang Abby? Do you think? You're in love with Abby? Is that what you're so concerned about? It's like, no, we got all these soldiers, but we've only got one Abby. She was the one who was meant to lead us if we inevitably die tonight. Park's like, hey, she's not here, so I guess she's not her. Kind of building up Abby and maybe reminding you, a little bit about her standing and how well regarded she is within her own crew and that kind of stuff. So, anyway, back onto the crazy stuff. Yeah, her choice incenses Jesse, who blurts out that he was one of the Jackson council members who voted against her mission because everything you do is about you. She refuses to feel bad, pointing out that his loyalty to one group allows him to be brutal to others. After all, he didn't do anything to stop the wolves harming that Seraphite kid. I really hope you make it, is all he says as he walks away. Just, yeah. I mean, it's...
Let her die.
I mean, listening to them talk about this, the key thing they bring up is it's an addiction. It's very much addiction. Before, Ellie was all, I'm happy to walk away. This is it, Got no leads. I don't know where Abby is. We're done. I'm happy. But as soon as you've got that opportunity, one train combined, you can justify anything to get that fix that you desperately want. I'll tell you what, one device that from the game that I feel like they could have used within the show that maybe would have helped with the justification more of Ellie's actions. Throughout the game, you would regularly get, cutbacks to Joel on the ground. Beaten. And that would be, in moments of doubt about her, what she's doing. It would just reinforce Ellie's resolving getting revenge for Joel. And I feel like using that device, possibly, throughout the season may have helped her not look like a crazy person.
I mean, she is a crazy person.
You would a little bit. You would it would reinforce kind of what she's doing and why she's doing it. But no. Ellie goes to the waterfront and is able to get a motorboat running, so she sets off for the aquarium. She's capsized by a giant wave, though, so she and the boat wash up on shore, where a Seraphite child watches her. Before Ellie knows what's going on, there's a lot of whistling, and then two Seraphite adults pick her up and walk her to a noose in the woods. Ellie yells that she's not a wolf and she's not a local, but that doesn't stop them from stringing her up. A woman and a scimitar seem to be in charge. There's a horn in distance, and the woman yells, "The village, leave her!" And Ellie crashes to the ground as the bald and braided ones run. We'll say that kid was fucking creepy. I'm sure you're not affected because you're a horror movie fan and there's creepy kids all the time. But he's just it. I don't know. I don't know whether his arm just moved creepily or it was bad CGI, but it's
it was a cool motion, whatever.
I don't know. It's creepy. Also, when she's in the boat, I couldn't help but think: did they ever establish that she swims now? Could she swim in the first season of the show?
No, I think they did a bit, but she couldn't. Right? They would have kept.
Was that a joke at one point?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Can't swim. No.
Anyway, this was dumb, and I hated everything about it.
I mean, yes. Again, this was purely to set up that she was around this location during season 3.
And again,
I assume that woman is going to come back at some point.
Yeah.
During next season. That kid is going to get his head blown off if he's not too old by the time they start filming. She recovers her boat and speeds away with huge fire burns in the background. Ostensibly, this is the work of Isaac and his soldiers, whom we saw getting in their watercraft earlier. We also know Abby and her unit were missing earlier that evening.
Can I just say,
Isaac finds it substantial.
Actually, the best moment in this episode was the one shot of Isaac in the boat as they take off. That was my favorite part of this episode.
Jesus Christ.
Because there was some acting there.
But getting in a boat?
No, what's his face?
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. The slightest smugness on his face as he takes off. I think all in all, Jeffrey Wright was the best part of this episode. That man's an actor.
He is an actor. I can't fault you for saying that. When she arrives at the aquarium, Ellie gains entrance to the building via a broken skylight. She creeps up on Owen and Mel, aka the other female member of Abby's group, as they talk about how to get Abby. Once Ellie makes her presence known, she realizes they have a map. Ellie demands that they hand it over. Owen pretends he will, but grabs a gun instead. In the process of shooting him first, Ellie hits Mel in the neck. Don't worry, things get worse. As Mel's jacket falls open, we see that she's very pregnant. And as her life drains away, she begs Ellie to cut the baby out of her. Mel's clearly had medical training, but all she can choke on is transverse, as in make a transfer cut in my abdomen. But Ellie sobs as she yells that she doesn't know what that means. This is traumatic, and I'm very sorry for Mel's baby, but I'm also super glad I don't have to watch an uninformed person try to end an emergency sex session on the floor.
Do you feel like so in this they hide that Mel's pregnant to make the reveal like a more shocking moment for the audiences?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that either.
That was how it was in the game.
No, you knew she was pregnant from the game.
No, you didn't.
She was obviously pregnant.
Wow. Maybe she was just fat in the game.
No, she was pregnant.
Okay. Oh, no, we had seen her early. She was pregnant when she came to beat up Joel.
She's pregnant when they come to beat up Joel, and you know she's pregnant when you creep up on her. And I think Ellie choosing just to kill her the way she does in the game is, again, just goes how far she's willing to go. But here,
Here is some by accident, which is, again, like,
yeah,
make a softer option.
Yeah.
It seemed like she didn't want to kill either of them.
Yeah. And the whole weird 2-minute scene about, get my baby out. That was weird. It was weird.
Which would you prefer? No, I know the answer.
I need a wolf playing Vita is what I need. You know?
Which would you prefer? This scene or Ellie killing a dog?
Ellie killing a dog.
Which one do you think audiences would have hated more?
Ellie killing a dog.
Yeah.
I just want Ellie to be properly go down this road. Instead, we're half-assing. It's like I'm getting told that she's as far gone as she is while consistently having regrets.
Mm.
Well, you're not that far gone yet, are you then? You know, like I just...
Yep. Should Ellie have tried? That's the question I've seen go around.
Dumb. What the fuck was she going to do?
Try to save the baby.
How?
Cut her out.
And then what?
Take him with her.
Do what?
Raise her like his own.
Yeah.
You know? Or give it to like an orphanage or something. I don't know.
We're in the middle of a fucking war zone. They're going to struggle to get it back home themselves.
It's a dying woman's request, Dylan. Why is you call? Yeah, Mel bleeds out. Ellie cries. She's traumatized. Like post steakhouse traumatized. Yeah, that's a good reference. When Tommy and Jesse suddenly appear and lead her out, returning to dinner at the theater. Later, Tommy, Jesse, and Ellie talk about how it seems like Abby will get to live after all. Tommy wonders if Ellie can make her peace with that. I guess I'll have to, she says. After he steps away, she thanks Jesse for coming back to help her. He teases her a little before adding that if he were out there somewhere lost and in trouble, he would set the world on fire to save me. She agrees that she would. And they're interrupted by a noise from the lobby. Everything gets much worse from here on out. As they run towards the noise, Jesse immediately goes down, taken up by an unseen assailant. Ellie sees that Tommy too has been hit and is unconscious at best. And that assailant, it's Abby. He killed my friends, she says. She then tells Ellie, who corrects her, no, I did. I didn't mean to. She begs Abby to let her go. But Abby won't hear it. I let you live, she points out. I let you live and you wasted it. And as Ellie yells no, Abby shoots. We assume. Cut to black.
Cool.
Kaitlyn Dever was really good here.
Kaitlyn Dever was really good. And I think that's the other part that plays into me thinking that audiences will actually end up siding with her more is no offense to anyone, but Kaitlyn Dever, more known and I think a better actress. I don't think that's too hot of a take. I think
she's just got a more past history of work.
Yeah. I honestly feel like the weirdest of ways, like people are just gonna. I think everyone's just gonna turn. And you know what the funny thing is, because this is my whole thing with the.
But does that make the end of the show better? Will that make the end of the story better if people are Team Abby?
No, I think it makes it worse because I finished when I finished the game, and the reason I love the game so much is the game forces you to fight, and I didn't want to fight because I didn't want either character. By that point, I was.
Oh, you didn't want either, but now you're currently like maybe Abby should finish off early.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just saying for people watching the show,
Audience, yeah,
like audience members. But in the game, the way they choose to tell the story, you fully, if you embrace it and play it properly, and another little bitch who started complaining and turned it off. By the end of the game, you like I'm sitting there. I remember sitting there playing it, and just like when it's popping up, and they're both like bloodied and crying, and they're in the water, beating the shit out of each other. I'm like, I just wanted to put the control down. I'm like, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm sick of the fighting. I'm sick of I don't want either of you to kill each other. You have both been through so much. I like both these characters now. I want both these characters to live. I don't want to do this. That was me playing the game. I feel like by the time we get to that scene on the road they're currently going, people will be like, fucking kill Abby. Who cares? And I don't think that's anywhere near as, like, what's that storytelling? I don't like. I don't know. That's my worry anyway.
Did we get the last couple of minutes? Does a bullet hit Mark? We don't know. Because suddenly we're watching Abby take a nap on the couch. She's woken by another wolf who let her know that Isaac wants to talk. As she stands and makes her way outside, we see they're inside a football stadium that's been has a lot of military-looking hustle and bustle about happening. Seattle Day 1 reads some on-screen text. Looks like we arrived at a POV shift, everyone. Cut to credits.
Cool. The stadium looks exactly like the game and everything.
Oh yeah, incredible recreation. I assume heavily CGI'd. But
yeah, it looked very, very CGI'd, but not in the I'm fine with that. So it still looked good.
No. How do you feel about teasing this as for next season?
I think doing it at the end makes sense because it sets people's expectations up for the start of the next season instead of waiting to like do it then, like going into next season where our new start point is. So
yeah, I think they needed to do this because if they just had ended on that cliffhanger,
yeah, people would be more pissed.
And then they just opened with this at the start of next season. It's just we're sticking around with Abby, and we don't get back to this for ages. People would be pissed. I mean, they're still pissed now, probably, because they're going to wait. Yeah,
I'm keen for next season, and here's my problem. I've disliked the last two episodes. The last few episodes, I think, have been going downhill to the point that it's actually exciting to just switch sides. I'm excited to spend time with Abby more. I'm excited to see how they attempt to do this character. I'm excited to meet Lev. I'm excited to tell. Like, honestly, a lot of there's so many exciting moments that happen in Abby's side of the story. I'm excited to see how they choose to do those. Yeah, and I mean, by the end of the game, I was just as I said, I liked all the characters more than no one to die. But I mean, honestly, by the time I finished the game, Abby and Lev were the characters I was most endeared to be completely honest.
Yeah.
So.
But I feel like you're also in the minority. People, so.
Is that not the point of the game? Was I not supposed to care about those characters? Like, what do I...
No, I think you were supposed to. It's just you ended up with the minority of people, and that's why they're trying to rejig this a little bit. Try to play with the formula a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, now I'm wondering, do they actually need 4 seasons? Well, at the pace they've been telling this story,
Yeah, but the thing is, they had the pacing. If you look back on this season, first half was a lot slower than the later end, and I don't know how they'll choose to.
That's true.
Portray things out, but they've got to have. You got to have Abby and Ahlers' relationship built upon enough to make them actually like a couple. you're going to have to introduce, and you've got to have enough scenes with all the other wolves that Ellie's killed to make those moments in retrospect worse or whatever. Like, you've got to have enough scenes of them. You got to build up the Isaac relationship. You got to add enough, so I'm sure they'll do more flashbacks and scenes with him to help build to that. You got to build to the war on the island more. You got to have more Seraphite stuff. You got to have Lev. You got to have all the love stuff with Lev and their sister. There is a lot. Like, when you think about Abby's story,
there's also a lot that was meant to be in this season. Some would say.
I think that I think season 3 is basically Abby's story up until the end of Seattle. Like, see Seattle finish, and I think season 4 would be the farm and I think it's Sacramento.
It's Santa Barbara, I believe.
Santa Barbara, there we go. Yeah. I think the farm.
Well, that's where they're going. That's where they think the Fireflies are.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually arrive at Santa Barbara, but yeah.
Yeah. But I think that would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
And
that
allows
sense.
That also allows enough room to do more things that this show has proven it has done best. But when you think, what's everyone's favorite episode from season 1?
Oh, the episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3, whatever. Bill and whatever the person's name is.
Yes.
It's the let's expand on something that is mentioned in the game, but we couldn't tell the full story because you can't just jump away from the character you're playing, because you can't do that in a video game. Well, I guess you could, but it wouldn't really make sense. Let's do that. And it proved to be the best episode in that whole season. They don't do that this season. They jump away, couple scenes, a little pre-credits intro scene with Isaac here, there, like stuff like that. But they really did not spend the time to jump away and expand on the story in the ways that felt like where they have proven in season 1 that were wins. They didn't go, well, that worked really well, let's do more of that. They've chosen to do other things, which is let's attempt to reshape the narrative for a TV audience. Yeah. Which I'm not saying is wrong. I'm not saying is wrong. I just think that to me, the problem isn't the reshaping and changing it for TV audience. It's that you've reshaped it and you've done it bad. I think that, like, when you look at this last episode,
I would say bad. It's just not.
No, I'm saying bad. I'm saying bad.
I would not say bad.
The script of this last episode, the pacing, and everything like that was just horrible. Like, I don't know. Like, in a means to meet their means to reach their end, they have just produced an episode that feels so pieced together rather than fluent storytelling. And that's the problem to me. It's not changing it to a TV audience. It's bad TV for me.
Do you think we'll see an uptick of people buying The Last of Us Part 2?
And then we'll soon find out. I'm sure if the numbers
do you
think
people are like, no, I don't want to wait. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just gonna play through the video game.
No, the audiences are very different, I guess.
Yeah. Are you wanting to play the video game? Yeah. Obviously, we've been discussing it also.
Yeah, well, I mean, the TV show's been making me want to experience that story for the first time in a very, very long time. And the whole thing is, I always say The Last of Us, I only played it once, and that's because it was such an intense story. I had no need to go back. And this is the difference between like movies and, I mean, actually no, kind of like there's movies I love that I've watched only once or twice, and they've just because they're so intense or hard to sit for and stuff. But I'm like, I love that. That was fantastic. I do not need to watch that for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like,
I do not need to watch that ever again.
Yeah. And The Last of Us was sort of like that to me. So, but I mean, it's obviously been a very, very long time. But I'm thinking, because I'll have probably 2 years between seasons, maybe I'll try and do my second time through the game. But yeah.
What else do I want to ask? Do you think we'll see a drop off in viewership season 3? Because people do not want to watch Abby's story.
Oh, season 3. I was about to say they put out the numbers. I saw Variety reporting that this season finale was shockingly lower than the season finale of season 1. So I have no idea what was affecting that, and if there was anything affecting that. But
well, I mean, those numbers are also generally including. It's just day one, like live numbers. I don't believe they like do any tracking for like after streams and that kind of stuff. Is how many viewers watched live generally.
I reckon you'll see that. I don't think the premieres numbers would be any different. I reckon everyone would still tune into the premiere.
I think it'll be season 3 be word of mouth thing.
No, I reckon the premiere is still good. Everyone will tune back in. But then after that, if people are like, fuck this Abby bitch, they'll drop off. But then, if I'm right, people will be like, you know what? This Kaitlyn Diva girl is making this character work for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I can see that. Why do you think they spared the animals? Shimmer safe? The doggo didn't get killed?
Yeah, I don't know. Just, again, making the show more approachable.
Consumer friendly.
Yeah, people hate animals dying and things, which I get. People, like, no matter who you are, it's like you see animals dying, you just...
They don't want to get Peter on their ass.
Yeah, it hits you it hits you differently than humans dying, which is sort of funny. I assume that's all it is, to be honest. Because if you think about the game again, how many fucking dogs does Ellie kill throughout the game?
Yeah,
hundreds.
So many. Do you have a favorite episode of the season?
I'd have to look at the quick synopsises too. Well, I mean, honestly, episode 2.
Yeah.
That felt the most exciting of the season between the fight, obviously, against the Horde, and the Joel and everything. Like, it just felt that's when the storytelling and the stakes and everything felt the highest.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably my number 1. Probably my close number 2 is episode 3, The Aftermath, which is almost just as effective. So, yeah, I guess.
When do we think the way they film considering I think that's what he was about to ask. I mean, they're just so slow at filming this. Fucking Bella Ramsey's going to be 30 by the time they finish the show.
Do you reckon they shoot the first thing they shoot next season is the finale?
I don't know. I nearly just go.
Or have they already shot the cinema fight, the theater fight?
I doubt it. No, I doubt it. But I just go, if you want to do 4 seasons at this point, I just feel like get HBO to just sign off on that shit and just film 2 seasons back to back. Like, just. I don't know.
I mean, maybe time between. I mean, shooting seasons 2 and 3 would have been better together.
100%, but they didn't do that.
Yeah, so I think a little bit of extra time between 3 and 4 would make sense. It should be.
I mean, you can spend 6 years working on a video game. The character's going to look the same the whole time. Ellie's going to look 19 all the time, not going to age because it's a fucking video game. But if you're going to spend 6-7 years filming something, go look at Stranger Things for how that turns out. You know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Do you think we'll see any of our regular characters next season outside of the finale?
Oh yeah. They'll yeah. I don't. Well, here's the thing. They will. I would presume that I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ellie episode 1 in some fashion, just to do that. Hey, here's still, and then I wouldn't expect to see them until towards the last episode sort of thing again. But then along the way we're gonna see people like probably Jesse. What the fuck's up with dudes there?
Tommy.
Like we're gonna see some people.
We'll see Tommy, sure. Yeah. All right, final question. Do you think this season will work better once the complete story is told?
No.
Okay.
Because I know the story. I know the rough beats. Doesn't matter what they change. I know the rough beats. And if you like, I already know that we're going to.
Do you feel like they could fix this?
No.
Going forward.
No. I just think this is this was a bad episode here. Full stop. I don't think you can fix that.
You can make the motivations make more sense.
Well, sure. But there's still stuff like...
Or you can recontextualize it in some way. I don't know.
But I know they contextualize, and I'm still saying it's just a bad episode too. Right?
But it's not the game. You need to... Alright. Anything else you want to say or discuss?
Nah.
Alright, let us know what you thought of The Last of Us Season 2 finale, or what you thought of The Last of Us Season 2 as a whole, or finding us on Blue Sky at explosionnetwork.com, or find us on other social media at ExplosionPod. If you want to help us out here, what do you want to watch? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars if you can leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, or this random Spoilercast this season, I thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, let's go back to day 1.